Welcome back to this Modifying Doom 3 Editor series. Today's episode looks at how to construct a Klaxon, or commonly referred to as an emergency beacon. To build our Klaxon, we'll look at how to build rotators, we'll see how to focus lights, and finally we'll add a particle to complete the effect. Please take a moment to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, dislike, or comment below the video. Click the notification button for alerts when new videos are posted, or mosey on down to the channel Tom's World for a neighborly visit and for a list of all our videos. Want to learn how the Doom 3 game was built? Stay with us as we explore the fascinating world of video game level design with the Doom 3 editor. Okay, so to build our Klaxon, I just slapped together a little room, nothing special, just a little box map with an elevation. If we have a quick look, I think its dimensions are 512 by 512. Yep, 512 by 512 top, 256 tall, and that little elevation is 128 by 128 by 512. And all we've got in the map is just two lights, ambient lights, one cranked right down, this one kind of bright, and start player start. So at the heart of the Klaxon is going to be some sort of rotating entity. There's a couple of different ways we can do it, and we'll look at both ways. I'm just going to grab this texture here. I'm going to draw a little box, 16 cubed, I guess. Okay, there it is there. Let's put it sort of at eye level. And I've textured it just with miscellaneous floor texture just to give us something to look at, because we want to make sure our rotator here is working. So I'm just going to fix that texture real quick. Bit of a stickler for that. So while it's selected in our orthographic view, we're going to right click and we're going to go to Func, and we're going to go to Func what? Func rotating. There we go. I'm going to hit Shift O to make sure that the origin is centered, and with it still clicked, if we look down here, Func rotating, generic rotating entity will only rotate in the will rotate around the Z-axis by default is what we want, so we're not going to mess with that. And you can also hit it with a trigger any way you want. We just want it to run at start here, so we'll leave it alone. The only key val we want in here is the speed. So I'm going to just put in speed tab, and 200 is a good speed for our Klaxon. There it is there. And that's all we need to do to create one way of making something rotate. Let's jump into the map and have a quick look at it, make sure it's working. And there it is, rotating nicely. Okay, good. And again, just to look at this thing real quick, if we go down to the window here, you see we can do a bunch of different key vals, and if we want XY axis rotation, we just put in these key vals there. Okay, so another way we can get something moving here, I'm going to select a different texture just so we can tell these two apart. I'm going to select that one. I'm going to draw another 16 by 16 cubed. Little square. There we go, right beside it. I'm going to fix that texture real quick. Fit. Okay, and they look a little bit different. So while it's selected, I'm going to right mouse click on my orthographic. I'm going to go to Func Mover. I think it is Func Mover. This is Alpha. Func Mover. There it is. Shift O just to make sure its origin is centered. And we're just going to rename this thing. And just to show you can name it anything you want within reason. Just name it something you can remember, something that's easy to remember. Metallica. Okay, there's our mover. Now, mover's not going to do anything. We got to script it. So let's jump out of here. I'm just going to open a bit of script that I wrote, and I'm just going to open up a fresh notepad here. All right, I'm just going to grab a couple lines. This is just code that I was messing with to sort of refresh my memory with the way movers worked. Okay, we just want that. And then we just want, and we know the difference between brackets and parentheses by now, right? So there. Okay, so what we want is this script to, at runtime, so we just use this line, void space main, parentheses, parentheses, and then bracket, bracket. And between the brackets, we're just going to have one command just to make that mover spin. If you remember, we called it Metallica. And don't forget, anytime you reference anything in the script, it's got to be prefaced with the $sign. So we want Metallica to do something, so we're going to say, hey, $sign Metallica. We want it to rotate, and the command for that is .rotate. Okay, here, space, parentheses, single quotation marks, then you have 3 numbers separated by, or 3 integers separated by a space, then another closing single bracket, not bracket, but oh boy, quotation mark, right? Parentheses and then semicolon. And Z is this number here. And again, we're going to put in 200, which is the same speed as we put that func rotator. Now, to forget scripts, we need to do 3 things to make it to work properly. So we're going to go save as. We want to stick it in the same folder as our map. Okay, and our maps are always just in my setup, common Doom 3 base maps. It's in here. We got to name this script the same as our map, and our map is called movers 3. And then we want this extension script, has to be that way. Okay, so we've saved that little script into that same folder that we have our movers 3 map. So that's done. We don't have to recompile our map. Our map work's done. So we should just be able to actually go in here and get into movers 3, and hopefully that second mover will be there. No, yeah, okay, there we are. Yep. Except the texture didn't take for some reason. Let's fix that real quick. I hate when little things don't go right like that. Oh, you know why? Because I don't think we BSP'd. Alright, so let's go up here and BSP. Yeah, okay, get the workflow together here, kids. We should have that texture on there now. We do. Okay, so we have two different ways of making something rotate. That one there is just totally on the map using a func rotator, or func rotating, and then this one we scripted. So, okay, so that's the heart of our Klaxon. So we're just going to proceed here real quick by just getting rid of this guy here. We're going to retexture this guy in no draw. So we'll go to textures, you know how to do this, common, no draw, if it lets us do it. Okay, there we go, no draw. I'm a bit of a stickler, so I'm just going to go natural. You don't have to do that. I'm going to resize this guy to 2 by 2 by 8, which fits into a Klaxon model. We'll look at that in a second. So, okay, so let's go 2 by 2 by 8. Ooh, we got to go way down. 2 by 2 by 8. Oops. 8, 2 by 2 by 8, right? It's just going to fit inside our Klaxon model. I'm going to hit Shift O so we can center it, and then we've got a little mover all ready to go. So let's look at putting in the model and the light and everything else. One other thing we should do here, we should probably delete that script, because the game through that script is going to be looking for something that we have not got on our map anymore. So let's fix that first. So movers 3, here's that script. Let's just delete that. Okay, we're good. Alright, so let's go back to our map. Let's get this little rotator roughly in position, and we want it up on the ceiling, kind of in the middle of the room. So let's do that. Real quick. It's tiny, so I got to be careful how I grab it. Don't want to distort the size. Well, we can always undo, right? Okay, I want to put that, say, I don't know, right here. Put it on that major grid line. Let's hide that light for now. Okay, so there we go. Where's the side view? It's not touching the roof. And this is going to fit inside our Klaxon model. So we're going to right-click on our orthographic view. And we're going to do func static. And this is alpha. There it is there. Let's get our render window in position here. So a little func static. Let's assign a model. So let's go down here. We've got it selected, func static. Let's go into the key files and clear these out. Let's select a model for that. See if we can find it in the vast array. And here I was fishing around for it, but let me close all this and show you where it is. Okay, so once you go in here in models, we want to go into map objects. Let's see here. I think I'm in map objects already. Yes, map objects, lights. And in here's Klaxon. Grab that and assign it. Now, for whatever reason, it's not doing it in real time. So let's just save here and let's reload the map. There's 3. If we come up, that Klaxon model should be there. Okay, there it is. Let's place that over top of our mover. And we'll put it origin so the origins match more or less. Okay, there it is. And now you can see why we made that funk rotating the size we did, so it fits inside the Klaxon, right? Okay, so there it is. Now, next thing we want to do is attach a light to this thing. We're going to look at a light that we haven't seen before. So I'm just going to click over here, and we're going to hit light. There it is there. It's more or less near our Klaxon. Okay, so let's hit that J for our light editor. First thing first, let's make it red. Nice deep red, not a wimpy red. Nice deep red. There it is. Okay, so that's there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to click on down here, projected light, and this basically gives us a focused light pattern. We haven't seen this before. Like normally lights are like a bare bulb, right? And they just emanate light from everywhere, like omnidirectionally. But now we're creating kind of a focused light. And if we look sort of in the front view here, we can see it kind of comes down like a spotlight, right? That's kind of the shape we want. That's going to be our starting point. So let's go to the side view, which is there. Now what I want to do is I want to rotate that beam sort of on a 45-degree angle. And I just sort of figured out this rotation tool recently, but it works pretty well. What you want to do is you want to get into the view that best suits the adjustment you want to make. And this is, for me, front view here in orthographic is perfect because I want this light to go on a 45 instead of straight down, right? Right now it's straight down, that's the beam. I want that beam to come 45. So I'm in this area here in this front view. I'm going to select that light and I'm going to come up here and I'll whip the view up here real quick to free rotation, this button here. We're going to click that. Then we're going to come back to our orthographic view here, and you can see that the entity turns purple with that little purple box around it. You know you've got it selected here for the free rotation tool. What you want to do is right mouse click and then drag, and you can see we can move this thing up here. And I'm going to get it at roughly, I don't know, that's 45, kind of so give or take, right? Now one important thing, and just to see how this beam works, that's sort of the rear view, and you can see the beam coming out. A little confusing. Once you kind of understand what it's doing, it makes a lot of sense. That's the top view. It's kind of casting this sort of triangular shape, if you will. Now one really important thing to remember, and we'll see it probably a little bit later here if I don't hit these dimensions right, this light drop off is like, it doesn't fall off gradually, it just stops right there. So that's important because when this thing is flying around, it's not hitting the corners. We might get some weird stuff going on. I'll show you that later, so I'll leave it this way for now. Now the other thing we want to do is right now it's casting a square sort of pattern. We want to round that out, so we can hit that light, make sure that light is selected, hit our J key, and we're going to add a texture to it. We're going to come down here to lights and big round. We're going to hit that, apply. Okay, now we should have a look to see how that looks in the map. And it's pointing straight at the wall right now, right? Okay, so it's not going to give us that round look we want. We want to project it right against the wall, just so I can show you guys what I'm doing here. So it's still in rotation mode. I'm going to put it up on that wall, and then we can adjust the size by just grabbing these, well, they look like vertices, but okay, let's get out of this rotation tool first. There. Now we can actually move this around using these. So I'm dragging the size out, making sure it hits the wall, and then we can also make the beam wider too, or more narrow. So that's good right there. So it's hitting that back wall. So let's have a look and see what that looks like. BSP. And we should get this sort of focused beam. And there it is, right? Okay, nice. Okay, so stick with me. So far, so confusing. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to put in a particle, a funk emitter, and we're going to attach a particle to it. So let's just right-click. We'll go to funk emitter. Let's put that guy on the map. And now the funk emitter, all it is, it gives us, if you ever see like headlights or any kind of other focused lights, if there's smoke or fog, kind of has that triangular shape kind of beam. And this is what this emitter is doing. An emitter doesn't give any light, it just gives us that beam. And when you put in a funk emitter, notice that it should have a direction on it. There'll be this arrow here. Now what we want to do is we want to get that funk emitter pointing in the same way as our light. Okay, now we'll explain this in a second. Let's not worry about the direction it's pointing right now. So let's attach a particle to it. So we want to select the funk emitter. We want to click down here, particle. Give it a little while because there's a lot of big files in there. Particle files take big file sizes. Let's just give that a second. So inside the particles, we should be able to find our Klaxon. Should have looked this up before, but I think alphabetical order, it's way down here. But I think they took mercy on us and they're making it easy. So JKL, Klaxon beam, there it is there. Okay, Klaxon beam, so click on that. And you can see the preview window, what it looks like. So let's attach that. Now right now that beam, it's sort of a big long beam. It's sticking straight up. If we look in that render window here, let me minimize that. See here, it's sticking straight up. We want to adjust that. So again, I'm going to go into my front view, and if you remember the light is, just look where my mouse is going down about this angle. So we want the funk emitter to go down that angle as well. So first thing I'm going to do is make sure I'm in the front view, then I'm going to select the funk emitter, and I'm going to go again to that free rotate tool to there. And I want to move this down about a 45 and pointing at the back wall. Okay, and if I look at that arrow right there, it's pointing down at about 45 and then back to that back wall, the same way that light is pointing to that wall there. So you got to get the direction of the light and the direction of the funk emitter, the particles going in the same direction. So let's deselect the funk emitter. Let's bring it up. I'm going to call funk emitter or particles interchangeably here, so kind of give myself a note. I'm going to put those for now, match the origin of that light. It's not going to align properly with the Klaxon quite yet, but it should get us kind of in the ballpark of what we're getting at. So let's save and let's compile. Let's go into the map. Now, in addition to our red beam of light, we should sort of have that kind of, focus light in fog look. And it's pretty good. It aligns that way. Now, we have to get this alignment properly. It doesn't look like much now, but once we start rotating it, it's got to be aligned properly. But that's looking pretty good. That conceivably looks like it's going this way. Now, the two red colors don't quite match. I'm not going to mess around with that. I'll let you guys do that. Okay, so the particle is a little bit behind the Klaxon. Okay, its origin, kind of where it should be sitting, it's kind of behind it. So let's adjust that and let's bring it up a little bit too. So we want to come forward with that funk emitter. Okay, so that's the direction we want to go. We want to go this way. So that funk emitter, and we have to come up with it as well. So the light's okay where it is. So let's go to the funk emitter, I don't know, about there, forward and up a little bit. Unfortunately, if you just put it on the origin, like the funk emitter's origin to the model's origin of the Klaxon, it doesn't match. You have to kind of mess around with this. I'll try it here. If it takes me a little while, I'll do it off camera, but it should be good because the alignment has to be right before we start to rotate it. Okay, so there it is there. Let's just have one fast, quick look at it. BSP. Should be matching up pretty well. Because again, when we start moving it, if it's not right, it looks kind of goofy. Okay, so that's good. That's looking like it's coming out of the Klaxon. And that's pointing in the right direction. The light's pointing in the right direction. Everything's good. Okay, so now all we have to do is we have to bind the funk emitter and the light to that mover. So I got to peel back the onion here. So let's hide a few things. I just want to select that funk mover, and I think what did we call it? We didn't call it anything. All right, we just left it in generic name. So let's just click on that funk rotating to load in its name, which I have there. Let's deselect it. This light, let's hit bind, because I'm going to bind that light to that move, that spinner or that funk rotator. Come on, Tommy boy, you can type better than that. Bind. Funk rotating, hit enter. Let's make sure it took. Okay, it did. So our light is bound to our funk rotating one. And then we also want to bind that that funk emitter or that particle on there as well, so we could just do it this way. Bind. Okay, done. Now we should have sort of a working Klaxon. BSP. Jump into the map. Okay, and there it is, guys. Nice. Okay, let me just look for this little error. Okay, here's a little subtle thing. In addition to our spotlight not matching our Klaxon light. We'll fix that in a minute. You can see in the corner there, it's not quite hitting the whole corner. And that's because that fall off is absolute, right? Easy enough to fix. All we have to do is extend that light beam. So let's select the light. Right, and if we look in the overhead view, if we spun this around, you could see that the fall off would be around here like this. So all we have to do is just make this a little longer. Whoops. All we have to do is make it a little longer. So let's go top view. Wow, we go side view. Front. Yeah, front view. Let's bring this out quite far out. Make sure, and then widen it here as well. Okay, there we go. Now, if I look at the top view and I spin this around, that light should catch all the way into that corner. So let's just make sure. BSP. And let's just make sure it hits that corner nicely. There it is. Okay, nice. So we have a working Klaxon. Okay, so one last thing we're going to do, in addition to kind of pretty up that, match that. Oh, our Klaxon isn't spinning anymore. Why is that not spinning anymore? Let's have a quick look. What's going on? We still got that bound? No, it's not bound. Okay, no big deal. Select that off the light. Go here, bind, Klaxon. Guess we forgot to save it. Okay, so our funk emitter is bound now to our front rotating. Okay. Whoopsie. It's the joy of mapping. A million things can go wrong, and they usually do. All right, so before we go back in and check it, it'll be fine. Let's put in a speaker real quick, because that adds sort of to the drama of it. So I'm going to right-click on my orthographic. I'm going to go into, let's see here, speaker. And I ran into another problem with these speakers. There we go. Let's find where it is. Good. So I cannot select the sound from our little sound tab. I got to manually type it in, but I'll do it carefully. So we got our speaker selected. We want to go S shader, I believe. S shader. Yeah, S shader. So remember, speaker doesn't do anything. We have to assign it a sound. So lowercase s underscore shader. And this is always an adventure. So we're going to go sound / alarms underscore buzzers. Well, at least you guys will know now where the sound is. Loop underscore good underscore 2 second underscore alarm dot wav. Okay, there it is there. And we also have to, now that sound, it just goes bleep once, so we want to make that loop. So let's see here. Oh, I don't remember. S underscore looping. S underscore. Boy, I am all over the keyboard, aren't I? S underscore looping. It's because I have a microphone between me and the keyboard, so I do apologize. Okay, there it is there. And we just want it to start at runtime, so we don't have to trigger it or anything like that. Okay, so we can hit save, BSP. Now we should have a good working Klaxon with some sound as well. Okay, and there it is. And we didn't fix that red light, so let's be meticulous. Let's just fix the red light. We need more of a red color. There we go. That should be closer. Save, BSP. Well, at least I did it all in real time, guys, so maybe that's a good thing. Goes to show you, if I didn't have to explain and show different examples, see how fast it would be to put one in. Well, the red still doesn't match, but so there's your Klaxon. Now you can attach that to a car or, you know, put a bunch of them into a map. You know how to set the direction of it and all the rest of it, so if you want it to go vertically rather than horizontally. But there's your Klaxon. Thank you for watching, and please take a moment to subscribe to the channel, and check out our companion Doom 3 playthrough for exciting gameplay and entertaining commentary. More Doom 3 editor videos are coming up in the near future, so please stay tuned. If you have any questions regarding any of our content, feel free to send an email to the address in the comments. In the meantime, keep your maps sealed, stay well, and all the best.